Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dangerous Mix. My name is Ned, and today we're going to cover my top 10 most anticipated films for 2021. Let's get into it. So, there's a little bit of caveat already that some of these movies that I mentioned, they are expected to come out in 2021 as of this point in time. However, they are subject to change due to the pandemic and how things have been shuffling around. For example, Morbius is now coming out in 2022. So doesn't seem fitting to have it on the 2021 list. And I know some of the ones I mentioned probably will be delayed, but hopefully the ones I'm excited for will come out this year. Let's keep our fingers crossed, shall we? There were a couple of honorable mentions that I could probably pull together, and there's also some that I think would be really cool. However, it's just not something I'm super excited for. For example, Emma Stone is going to be playing Cruella de Vil, the character from 101 Dalmatians, and that's super interesting to me. However, I just can't put it on my list. I'm excited for it. And then there's ones like Mortal Kombat, where I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan, and I'm hoping to see something really good about it, but I just don't think it would make the list. And then there's also The Exorcist. Apparently, they're remaking that, which, why? That one, nothing is sacred anymore. Nothing is untouchable as far as remakes go, and that makes me super sad. But there's some other honorable mentions like the Suicide Squad Free Guy, The Conjuring 3 that I would have loved to see put on my list, but just based on where things fell, it's currently not. So I'm going to start this list, from my number 10 down to my number 1, and yeah, so let's do it. Number 10 is Spiral, which this film stars Chris Rock, and I think it's going to be super interesting having him in the kind of Saw reality. I'm curious how much this is going to be tightly coupled back to the mythos of Saw, but it has kind of like this detective element to it, and you're kind of still playing around with that original kind of what's actually going on here mentality. And I really have high hopes for Spiral and Chris Rock in a more serious role than typically he's been doing with Adam Sandler and some other people. So definitely looking forward to that one. Hopefully you are as well. And number 9, we have The Matrix. I have to admit, I really loved the first film. The second and third ones I enjoyed, but the second and third ones definitely had a lot of problems for me as far as the story and kind of where they took it. Definitely an interesting interpretation of if you look at the first film and how he has to be hardwired, and then they broadcast that signal out for him to do what he needs to with the Matrix, and then eventually he gets to the point where he's completely wireless. Just kind of looking at it from an IT world where I come from and those movies, it's pretty interesting, but not my preferred take on it. So I'm really hoping the Matrix 4 can come back and kind of do something that's its own thing and plays off the original more so than doing stuff with the second and third films. At least that's my hope, and I am kind of looking forward to it to see what they do with it. At number 8, we have Don't Breathe 2, which stars Stephen Lang, and this film is on my list, and there's kind of a theme a little bit to most of the movies I end up liking. It's superhero related or kind of horror based. There's definitely plenty of films outside of that, but a lot of them have that kind of theme to it. And this one definitely has that horror tone to it. And I'm really hoping they do something a little bit more unique and don't necessarily go back to having someone breaking into this guy's house. The way the first film ended left plenty of room for him to come back and do something for a sequel. I don't personally have any ideas what they could do with a blind man who's really trying to somehow, in a really creepy way, get his daughter back. But hopefully, they come up with something really cool, and I'm excited to see it. At number 7, we have Venom, Let There Be Carnage. That one, I really liked what they did with the first Venom film, and I'm looking forward to see what they do with this second film. However, they have Woody Harrelson playing Carnage. I love Woody Harrelson. I respect most of the films he's been in, but for some reason, to me, looking at Carnage as a character from the comics and looking at Woody Harrelson trying to play him, like a younger Woody Harrelson totally makes sense. And dude, the guy is insane. Like he's, I think, approaching 60 or something like that, and is in great shape and everything. But I don't know, he just doesn't come off as Carnage to me. Obviously, he has an opportunity to prove me wrong, and I hope he does. But this film, I'm just really hoping for a good Venom Carnage representation because there's a huge comic based fandom around those two characters. And to see those two on the big screen or your big TV in this case, I'm excited. I definitely want to see something good. At number six, we have the Spider Man 3 film, which I don't know if it's going to be Into the Spider Verse or not, but their fact that they're bringing back Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire to kind of be tied into this film is super interesting to me. And plus, where the second one left off, you have Mysterio revealing, Spider-Man is Peter Parker, which I know that's a spoiler. Apologies. Hopefully that icon's down below in the corner, letting you know that that was coming. But that puts you in a very interesting spot. And, it's not above Marvel. Like most of their characters, like you look at Tony Stark, he's publicly known to be Iron Man, and Spider Man being in that same kind of world, revealing who he is. Don't know what kind of consequences that will have. Will they play it off as something that actually is concerning, or will they just kind of glance over it and do something different? I have a feeling they're going to try to probably steer away from it with this film, but we'll see. I am definitely looking forward to seeing what's coming from this film. So, at number five, we have Halloween Kills, which they did an awesome job with the 2018 Halloween, which is essentially a sequel to the original. And I'm super excited to see where this one goes. Like, it's been pretty much something I do every October where I try to watch a scary movie every day. But one of the things that I always do is the last day of Halloween day, I go through and watch Halloween and the 2018 Halloween. It's just something I like to do as I celebrate Halloween. So definitely looking forward to see if this one gets added to that list. And who knows, maybe I'll have to make an adjustment just so there's time in my day to watch all three films. Either way, definitely excited for this one. At number four, we have Nobody, which has the director from Hardcore Henry coming in, doing his thing, which that movie was super interesting. So I'm curious how that's going to play into this. Also, the writer of the John Wick films, which John Wick was amazing. And I hear that this film could potentially be kind of in that same world. Bob Odenkirk is in it, Better Call Saul, great actor. And I'm really curious to see how this one kind of plays out. He obviously has a history where he's, a skilled fighter, tactician, all that type of thing. And it seems like he retired from that in some way and became an accountant, has a family, all that stuff. So very similar to how John Wick kind of started, where he's in this retired thing trying to get out of that business and he's being pulled back into it. So I'm definitely on board. If they can tie it into the John Wick thing, I think that'd be super interesting to kind of create this whole kind of universe around John Wick. So I'm definitely curious to see Nobody. I think there's going to be some cool stuff in that film. At number three, we have Candyman, which it's got Jordan Peele doing the writing on it, and that's super interesting to me. He's been kind of killing it with the horror type stuff, with Get Out, Us, and all that. I kind of wish he was directing it, but the fact that he's tied into it at all is super interesting. And the original had Virginia Madison and Tony Todd, and Tony Todd like absolutely killed it as a Candyman. Like the guy's voice is just awesome and creepy in a way, and it just works so well. So just the fact that Jordan Peele is tied to this, and I'm hoping Tony Todd somehow gets tied into it a little bit to kind of pay tribute to the original. Granted, this is another remake happening, but I'm excited for it. I just think the people who are kind of associated right now make it that way. It's not that I want another remake of Candyman because the original was good, but just to have the people who are tied to the film involved makes it super interesting to me that I want to see what they do with it. So it's not going to ruin the original for me, and that's one of the arguments that I kind of make with a lot of films, like with The Exorcist being redone. Could it be good? Yeah. Could it be bad? Yeah. But I'll still have that original I can go back to and watch. And like they did it with Freddy. I love the original Freddy. Then they redid Freddy. And that went poorly. Very, very poorly. Why? Why'd they do that? They didn't have to go that direction. Don't ruin a character. Just don't do that. And number two, we have A Quiet Place 2, where it was meant to come out back in 2020, didn't. So the trailer's been out a while, and it was one of my films I was going to be excited for in 2020, but I'm still excited for it in 2021. I just think it's going to be interesting to see how the family kind of plays out after the father's death. It definitely seems like there's some kind of flashbacks in here that kind of talk about the father, and kind of where the aliens like made their first appearance and how things kind of crumbled from there. But then you have also scenes of the family carrying forward, running into new people and stuff like that. So super interested to see where that goes. And at number one is Godzilla vs Kong. Honestly, this film, I just want a blockbuster film that I can watch, enjoy, have some popcorn, and just see two Goliaths go at it. Godzilla, the most recent film, was very good. Traditionally, Godzilla's been good. Kong, the most recent films have been great. I just want to see these guys go at it. So that ended up being my number one, not because I think it's going to be an awesomely fantastic story that's going to be so compelling that I'm going to be like, oh my god, I have to change my life. No, it's two monsters, it's getting blown up and broken, and they're going at it trying to kill each other. And I'm all for it. So, those are my top 10. What are yours? Leave a comment below, let me know. Reminder, I'm over on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday from 7 to 10, and I am over on Twitter. So if you are looking for any news or anything what I'm up to, best source would probably be Twitter. So yeah, there we go. And until next time, have a good one.